Now we will find the trig function values of specific angles. Here we will look first at the quadrantal angles. Quadrantal angles are angles in standard position whose terminal side lays on an axis. So if I'm looking for 0 degrees, remember 0 degrees, that would show no rotation. So that would be my angle for 0 degrees. When I'm finding trig function values, we need to know what is x, and what is y, and what is r. And when we go to pick, remember we can pick any point that lives on the terminal side. The easiest point that we could pick that lives on the terminal side of 0 degrees would be 1, 0. Now you could use 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, or anything in between, any fraction, any value. We're going to choose the easiest point, the simplest one to work with, 1, 0. So the x value of that point that lives on the terminal side, the x value would be 1, the y value would be 0, and remember that r is the distance from the vertex to the point that we picked on the terminal side of our angle. What is the distance here? And that's pretty simple. We can see that that would be a distance of 1. So now let's form our 6 trig functions, now that we know what x and y and r are. So sine, remember, is y over r, and that would be 0 divided by 1. Let's go ahead and just do that. So sine would be y over r, so we said y over r, that would be 0 divided by 1, which simplifies to just be 0. So we always want to simplify our fractions. Cosine is x divided by r, so that would be 1 divided by 1, which simplifies to be 1. Tangent is y divided by x, so that would be 0 divided by 1, which also simplifies to be 0. Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, so that would be x divided by y. And 1 divided by our y value of 0 would be undefined. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. That would be r divided by x. And we see that 1, of course, is the reciprocal of 1, so that makes sense. What do you guess that cosecant would be? If cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, and the sine value is 0, the reciprocal of 0 would be undefined. So let's see if that turns out like we expected. Cosecant is r divided by y, and r divided by y would give us an undefined value. Now we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to work with our 90-degree angle. And our 90-degree angle, we're going to put that in standard position. So there's our 90-degree angle. And we want to find, once again, the x value, the y value, and we want to find r. So we can pick any point that lives on the terminal side of 90 degrees. So once again, we're going to pick the easiest point, 0, 1. So the x value of the point that we picked that lives on the terminal side would be 0. The y value would be 1. And our r, remember, is the distance from the vertex to the point that we picked on the line. Pretty easy to see that that distance would be 1. Alright, let's use these and form our trig functions for 90 degrees. 90 degrees has a sine value, let's say y over r, so we have 1 divided by 1, which simplifies to be 1. Cosine is x divided by r, so that's 0 divided by 1, which is 0. And tangent is y divided by x. So y is 1, x is 0, we get undefined here. Cotangent is a reciprocal of tangent, so that would be x divided by y, which is 0 divided by 1, which is 0. And that makes sense, that 0 and undefined would be reciprocal ideas of each other. For secant, that would be r divided by x. Remember, secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So what are we expecting our answer to be for cosine? If cosine is 0, we're expecting secant to be undefined. So let's see. That would be r divided by x, so that's 1 divided by 0, which is undefined. Cosecant is a reciprocal of sine. Sine is 1, so we're expecting cosecant to be 1. Cosecant is r divided by y, and r divided by y also gives us 1. Now let's find the trig function values for the next quadrantal angle 180 degrees. So remember that 180 degrees, we put that in standard position. 180 degrees is a straight angle. It's half a rotation around, and we want to pick a point that lives on the terminal side of this angle. So can you tell me which point would you pick? What would be the easiest point to pick that lives basically on the negative x-axis here? Okay, we're going to pick -1, 0. Remember, once again, it does not matter which point you pick on the terminal side. All of them would reduce to be the values that we see here. So -1, 0 will just be the easiest, and that's what we'll pick. So we need to know what is x, what is y, and what is r. X is -1, y is 0, and once again, r is going to be 1. Pretty easy to see that that would be the distance from our origin to the point that we picked on the line. Sine, once again, hopefully you have this memorized by now. Sine is y over r, so that would be 0 divided by 1, which is 0. Cosine of 180 degrees, we know that's x divided by r, so x is -1, r is 1. So this simplifies to be -1. Tangent is y divided by x, so that would be 0 divided by -1, which would be 0. Cotangent is x divided by y, that's -1 divided by 0, which would be undefined. Secant, do you remember what secant is? Secant is r divided by x. Remember, it's the reciprocal of cosine. R divided by x. So that would be 1 divided by -1, which simplifies also to be -1. And that makes sense because -1 is its own reciprocal. So -1 makes sense for cosine and secant. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. Cosecant is r divided by y. R is 1, y is 0, so we get undefined. Okay, now let's go through this again one more time for our last quadrantal angle, which will be 270 degrees. So we're going to put our angle in standard position, and we are going to come all the way around 3/4, 3 quadrants, and we're going to be right here on the negative y-axis. We're going to pick a point, the easiest point again. (0, -1). And so we know our x is 0, Our y is -1, and what is r? R is 1. Remember, it's the distance, and for all the quadrantal angles, the distance is very easy to determine. It's just a straight line. So, 270 degrees, what are my 6 trig functions? Sine of theta, sine y divided by r. So we know all of these are y divided by r. Y divided by r is -1 divided by 1, which reduces to be -1. Cosine x divided by r, 0 divided by 1 would be 0. Tangent is y divided by x. So that would give us -1 divided by 0, which would be undefined. Cotangent is the reciprocal of that. That would be x divided by y. So that would be 0 divided by -1, which is 0. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so that would be r divided by x. It's 1 divided by 0, undefined. And then lastly, cosecant, the reciprocal of sine, that would be r divided by y. R is 1, y is -1, so we get -1 as our cosecant value of 270 degrees. Now, why haven't I done 360 degrees? Well, 360 degrees is coterminal to 0 degrees. We talked about coterminal angles. So 0 degrees would be no rotation, 360 degrees would be going all the way around one complete rotation. If I was to find the 6 trig functions for 360 degrees, notice we said 360 degrees and 0 degrees were coterminal. We would pick a point that lives on this terminal side of the angle, and that would be 1, 0. And guess what? That's the same exact point that we picked for 0 degrees, because they have the same coterminal side. And if I form all my 6 trig functions, we're going to get exactly the same values that we got for 0. So 360 degrees and 0 degrees have exactly the same 6 trig function values.